Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Breathe with Beth, also known as Love It Yoga on Facebooks. Today we are going to be talking about how yoga teaching is like Goodwill hunting. Yeah, exactly. So last week I talked about how watermelon rind is like coaching. And today the topic is how yoga teaching is like Goodwill hunting. So do you remember the part in Goodwill Hunting when Matt Damon is first, I think it's when he's first talking to, is it Minnie Driver? The actress? I could have that totally wrong. But he either asks her to have coffee sometime, or she asks him, and he says, yeah, that's great, or we could just like get together and eat an entire bag of chocolates, you know, same amount of arbitrariness, right? Well, today that's what I've been thinking about, because this is what my mind does, about how what we're offering to our students is not always, it's not always necessary to be offering them what we think they might want, right? Because that could be completely arbitrary, just like asking someone if they want to go for coffee when really they'd rather just eat an entire bag of chocolates, or maybe have a water, or go for a jog, or go to a river, or drink a beer, you know, who knows, if you don't even know someone. So as we try to develop content for this presumed client or whoever is there, it can be really challenging, right? It can seem like it's completely arbitrary what we put out there. And this is where it's really important to teach from the heart, teach the lessons that you love, and then people come to you because the things that you put out resonate. But this also isn't even always the case, right? So I have a group on Facebook called Restore and Love Yourself with Beth. There are restorative yoga classes. There's an entire library of them. There's also an entire library of yoga nidra classes. There's an entire library of goddess yoga nidra classes. And there's tons of ways to love yourself, tools and activities you can use to tap into the thought process, because everything starts with a thought and then leads to an emotion or a sensation in the body, but it all begins in the mind. And so a lot of these mental kind of teasers are what I love and what's helped me most in my journey. There's also 2 challenges in the group. There's a 7-day self-love journal challenge, and there's also a joy shop called 10 Elements of Your Personal Practice. That's only about an hour and a half, you know, but the 7-day self-love journal challenge is 7 days in a row that are an hour each day. So what I found is that no one's watching them. No one's engaging with the content. And for a long time, when I was just starting the group, I would do the classes, I host them live in the group, and I would do them there for, you know, arbitrary times. And for the longest time, probably like 9 months in total, they've just been whenever I feel like it, because I needed that kind of that freedom within the group itself to be able to do it whenever. And what I'm finding now is that people come into the group and there's so much information that it becomes completely arbitrary. They don't need it. You know, and the things that we think people are needing aren't necessarily what they actually are. So this is a really important concept in yoga teaching, and also being with yourself in your personal practice. What do you actually need? And then what do your students actually need, and meeting them where they are. So a good practice to get into is letting go, right? Letting go of your desire to control the experience, the outcome, be attached to the theme or what you're trying to give in that session, because more often than not, what ends up happening is something so far from what you actually planned that all of the planning that you put into it isn't really beneficial for you, right? It doesn't support your time unless you just love planning. Maybe the Virgos out there just get off on just making that plan. Woohoo, you know? And that's also fine. I'm just speaking to those people who might feel limited or held back by the ways that they present material to their students and the topics that they try to cover. And the reason that I bring this up is because we don't always know how to do that. So the biggest thing that I've learned recently is one of my students in that group just recently shared with me, you know, I love it, it's great, but I don't have the time, or I don't even know when the classes are, so I don't know how to plan for it. And there's that word plan again. And I'm like the opposite of a planner, you know, I just go with the flow, but then that's not producing safety and security for people. It doesn't enable them to feel trust. And so listen to what people ask for. You know, there's also a lot of programs out there that offer like oodles of on-demand content, right? We think that we tend to have this perspective that like everyone in the world needs unlimited content, as if we have unlimited time. No, we don't. We don't have unlimited time. So why would we need unlimited content? I don't need unlimited content. What I need is one class on this one day that I have a slot that I can spare, and sometimes I don't even have that. Right? So I'm just doing some active listening, and I'm reflecting back what I've received, and in the hopes that it will help you. If you're a teacher, or even in your own personal practice, if you just practice yoga, whether or not you've done any yoga trainings, or you just intuitively already do your own daily sadhana or weekly sadhana, whatever it is. Sadhana is your personal practice, so anytime you do any type of ritual or practice for yourself, whether it's meditation, breath work, yoga, all three, they are all yoga. They are all elements or limbs of yoga. Give yourself what you need as well, right? You may not need all of them. Here's a good parallel, or comparison. So you may not need all three of them all the time. You don't need unlimited asana to do. You don't need all these pranayama. You know, I take a Kundalini class on Thursdays, actually, by Louise Davies and Haley Peters down in Kep, Cambodia. Amazingly beautiful practice. If you want to check out their practice, just message me and I'll give you their information, because you can join us. It's a wonderful, wonderful a practice with kriyas, which are groups of different breathwork and asana that are intended to enliven specific energies in your body and concepts, and in your mind as well. And also Haley does a meditation afterwards. So it's like you just leave there feeling like, oh boy, I just want to give the whole universe a hug. It's beautiful. But even in that, Louise was saying the other day that she has a friend or student that just does one kriya every single day. That's it. That's all she ever does. And this is kind of, you know, I even struggle with that concept of like, is that really, what's up, Jeannie? Thanks for watching, babe. That is one thing every single day what you need? Well, if it works for you and it is what you need, then go for it, right? Do that ish, because it's gonna, you know what it brings you, you know that it benefits you, and that's wonderful. Hola! But sometimes for many of us, it's not the same thing all the time. I mean, I highly recommend doing a singular practice, you know, the same sequence for a while in the beginning. You know, when I got done my teacher training, I did one entire month plus of each one of the sequences that we were taught, just to feel the pranic effects in my body. And then after that, as I evolved in my practice, I began pulling in my intuition, right? Okay, I've done that. I know how that feels or what that generates or enlivens in my body. And then after that, beyond that, what what else is there, and this is where we begin to tap into the psychic levels of your human and spiritual body, right? We have different koshas in our body: the food body, annamaya kosha; the mind body, manomaya kosha; the breath body, pranamaya kosha; the psychic centers, bijnanamaya kosha. This is what we tap into when we go beyond, right? Go beyond just what we're used to, or what we're accustomed to, what we know, what we trust. And when we bridge into the unknown, into this like, what's this realm? I don't even know if I believe it's here. What am I feeling, And then also, Jeannie, I might want to bring you on camera in a minute if you don't mind, if you're still watching. Think about that one. And then we have the bliss body. Underneath all of those layers, all of those other 4 layers, underneath is your bliss body. That's where you find. And bliss isn't like, oh, I'm fucking ecstatic and jumping around like a bean all the time. And I do that a lot, actually. But it is finding this level of contentment, of acceptance, of knowing what is just what is, and then not allowing it to have any impact on yourself, right? Not allowing it to control your emotions, to control your mind, to control the other koshas or the other bodies. To just have enough faith in yourself that what I'm doing today for me is perfectly right and good and valid, and I can just do it and just know this is right for me. So this theme has been coming up a lot for me lately, and I just also wanted to express that because I'm about to go to bed. All right, let me just finish this statement, and then if you want to come on, I'll bring you on. If not, don't worry about it. We'll definitely do it another time. Jeannie, for everyone who's actually watching or going to watch the replay, Jeannie is my Reiki master, my first and longest standing Reiki healer. She's the one who awakened me to the blockages in my heart chakra, and it was palpable. I mean, the whole space that we were in just felt this like shock wave. I heard people come up to me afterwards and commented on it. So Jeannie's a powerful goddess. So let me touch on that topic just to close it all off, or to wrap it all up. The things that we need may not always be the same all the time. And it's really helpful to acknowledge that, and also acknowledge that in your students, right? The things that your students need may not be the same all the time, and it may be completely arbitrary what you're offering if you're not checking in, right? If you're not asking them and having that conversation. Where are you at? What are you needing? How does that feel? Where does this affect you in your body? Because these practices affect us in different ways. Yeah, sure, there's common threads throughout everything, but there's such vast differences in the way that we experience energy, each of us individually, as Jeannie well knows. And there's also universal truths, but we can't assume this, right? This is the part of it that's about consent, right? I have to consent and keep asking for consent to assist you, to bring you more ease, to teach you about a topic that may be beyond your grasp or your awareness at the moment, to offer you the world. It's like if someone said, like, I have a big pile of, I don't know, cactuses for free. Not everybody would want that. So like, it doesn't matter how many you have or how cheap it is. If you don't want it or you don't need it, there's no value in it, right? So it becomes completely arbitrary. So that's my point. Like, I realize that I'm offering content in my group that's completely arbitrary. It's like, oh my gosh, you have like months and months and months of content that you can use, but people aren't engaging with it because they don't need it, so it's arbitrary. It's like, that's great that it's there, but what am I supposed to do with it? When can I use it? Can you help guide me through it? And even though I'm there recorded guiding them through it, or even live, they would rather it be like live in this time right now. Let's set a date, tell me when, and I'll tell you if I can be there, and then we'll do it together. A lot of people right now really need and are desiring a lot of like comforting and yes, like hand holding, and I'll be there with you, I'll do it with you. And that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing for people to need, a human a very strong human need is a shared worldview and then ability to be seen and heard. So if you're not seeing people or hearing them by asking them over and over again, what do you need? What do you want? And then providing that and not trying to step outside of, which I'm guilty of too, stepping outside of or beyond what they actually need in this moment now and trying to give them something that you have, well, that's not really honoring them either, right? And I've fallen prey to that myself, even very recently, offering something that someone doesn't express a need for. Well, then you're not allowing them to consent to what you're giving them. So who are you serving? What's your intention? Is that just ego, you wanting to show what you have or give someone what you have or be paid for what you have? That's all fine and good, and everyone needs that as well. And at the same time, why give something arbitrary to someone that you're intending to really help along their journey? So that's how yoga teaching is like Goodwill Hunting. Any thoughts? Jeannie, have you already left me? Are you falling asleep? Do you have any desire to come on? Consent, right? You do not have to. This is not you didn't even know that I was going to be on here, so it's all good if you don't want to. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions about whether or not to offer something to a student, how to ask for consent, if you have programs that you're running that you're just not sure that if they're hitting home, just think to yourself or ask yourself, have I asked? Have I asked? What do you need? What do you want? You could get crickets. That's what another one of my coaches, Simone Seol, who does fearless marketing for Facebook for coaches, always says. She's like, well, I forgot actually what she says, but she always says, don't do your best is her big thing. So it's like if you're trying and you're not really consenting, then or getting consent, then what's that energy going towards, right? What are you expending this extra energy on, and why, and what's it doing for you? So you can also relate your teaching back to your practice and your relationship with yourself. Are you checking in daily and asking yourself, what do I need today? Or are the things that I'm giving myself completely arbitrary, right? Are the things that I'm spending my time on meaningless to me? Do they really matter? Do they impact my experience of life right now? And to me, that's really important. That's one of the key aspects of a blissful life. If you're checking in, smarana is a yogic term that means self-remembrance. Are you checking in with yourself and asking, hey, remember who you are? Remember what you want? Remember what your mission is, what your goal is, what your purpose is? And if you're not sure of that, then your mission and your purpose becomes finding that out, right? And asking yourself, are you ready to dive into this discovery of self? Do you feel like it? Do you have the energy? What needs to shift in your life to enable you to have the space and the energy to discover that, to explore that further? Because it's like if you're running to catch a train, you're not going to stop and bake a cake on the way. That's completely arbitrary, right? So if your goal is, I want to reach, as many students as I possibly can, like me, for example, and then I set up random times and teach classes that no one signs into, what's the point of that? So I'm now deciding to come on to do more lives, because then I can engage with people as they come on, and I'm going to be setting a more regular schedule for these. I'm also starting a YouTube TV show called Our Embodied Divinity, where I'll be having people like the beautiful, beautiful soul Jeannie Baker on to discuss our transformation, the point in our life, like the turning point where we realized, wow, I'm not just human flesh and blood, a brain, a heart, feelings and emotions. I'm actually something much more, and I don't really know what that is. And this is what we call spiritual awakening. And so I'll be interviewing these brilliant people, like, oh my gosh, the lineup is just insane. for who I'll be talking to, just to share with you this journey, because a lot of people are going on this journey now, and we're just starting out, or they're somewhere in between, and it really helps. It really helped me to have these guides, these mentors, these masters of energy who have gone through these processes before and who are comfortable with it and familiar. And so I want to open up the conversation to talk about their experiences more, to make these normalized, right? To normalize talking about spirituality, talking about divinity, talking about how you are a goddess, talking about how you feel energy from other people, or how you seem to have sensations where you acknowledge what someone else is going through that you're connected to, and maybe they're on the other side of the world, or maybe they're at work and you're at home, or maybe you have a premonition or a vision of something that's about to happen, and it does. Maybe you have this about yourself, right? You have tapped into your psychic centers, and you know in your gut what you need to do, and maybe you just have started out on this journey of questioning, like I was in 2018, where I was just like miserable every single day at work and didn't really know why. I was getting chronic migraines, and my body was killing me, and I was super stressed, and I kept getting sick all the time, and I kept having to take antibiotics, and I was just in the worst health ever. And I was very physically active, and I was a yogi. I was meditating, not as regularly as I do now, but at least like once a week, and things just weren't right. I was just like, what's wrong with me? What's happening? Why do I not feel, I can't just get to a place of feeling content. I'm actually quite miserable. And so if you're there, if you're in that place, then this is the right place for you. I welcome you to come to keep coming back here, so that you can stay informed of the updates of when I'll be hosting these shows. Beth TV, taken after Marie Forleo, is one of my biggest inspirations. I love her. She's also a Jersey girl, and I just recently came into the realization that I want to be my version of her. And so yeah, I'm just starting to become a YouTube TV personality, because I got a lot of things to share, and I think they're really valuable, and I want to share them and help you on your journey, and I think that I really can. I'm also a holistic coach, and so this is my jam. Like, I love talking about how people experience blockages in their lives, and how they have already proven to themselves that they know how to navigate past them, through them, heal them for themselves. They just might not be aware of it, because they might be stuck in a place where they're really hurting. They're really coping with something that's really painful in either their mental, emotional, spiritual, or physical bodies, just like we talked about, right? The physical, the mind, the breath, the emotion, the heart, or the psychic, the spiritual. So if you are experiencing any type of block that you feel like, yeah, this thing, I've been wanting to do this thing for so long, this one thing, and it never goes away, right? It's always there, it's always present, speaking to you, but you still never take that leap, right? You never like did the thing that you needed to do before you do the thing. You didn't take like the one step that's like 15 or 100 or 1,000,000 steps before. So what's the one thing that you can do? Sonia Francis always talks about this. She's an astrologer coach that I follow and base a lot of my classes off of. Follow her on YouTube as well. She always talks about, can you do maybe 5% more? She always says 5%, because it's like a really, it's not too daunting. It's kind of manageable. Like, can I do 5% more of this, or 5% less of this? Or what would it look like if your life was manageable? A little bit, 5% more. I like to say 2%. I still think 5 is a little too much, right? Like, I know you have 100%, but like, sometimes it doesn't feel like we have 100%. Sometimes it feels like we only have like, maybe there's only 5% accessible at all. And so like 2%, can you change something 2%? So yeah, that's what this is all about. That's what I came on to talk about today. How We can look at what we are doing to ourselves that is completely arbitrary, that may not even be anywhere near what we need. It's like someone, you ask for a hug and someone dumps a bucket of ice over your head. It's like, well, that was, what was that? What did that do? Or like I said earlier, you're running to catch a train, then you stop and bake a cake. Well, that didn't do anything. So that's kind of what I'm feeling a little bit of lately. Hey, Christine. I often do it too. So, it's not right or wrong. It's not good or bad. It's just like, let's observe what we're doing. So I notice that I get into a habit of, editing and putting out, doing a lot of wording for my YouTube videos that I'm not even posting publicly, because they're going into my Restore and Love Yourself group. And so only those people get access, and it's a small group. So it's like, why am I putting 95% of my energy into this when the whole other people that I want to reach, I could be coming on and just doing a live like this, or I could be, hosting more classes. So, we all have these things. Nobody is immune to these, like, oh, I'm perfect at this. I just direct my, well, that's not true. There's a lot of people who have really mastered it, and who they are because they're highly successful and very visible in the world. So let's take some inspiration from them and utilize our time to the best of our ability, not doing our very best, but just using it maybe 2% more, right? Using them as inspiration to take that next step that we are looking for, to then figure out, okay, this is what I need, and I'm going to take one step towards it. I might not even get there, right? And that's the beauty of the yoga practice that we do. We can think of an asana that we want to perform, say dragonfly I've been working on lately, and it's like, okay, I can't get there yet, but what's one step that I can take today and just sit in it that's going to help me eventually get there. I don't know when, I don't necessarily know how, but I know, okay, my hip's not very open, so I'm going to do some hip opening, and then I'm going to try to gently get into the posture and see and notice where I have restriction, right? Where is there a block? These parallels between yoga and coaching are just really similar. It's like, okay, where do we have blockages, and what do we need to kind of dissolve the blockage a little bit? What do we need to kind of release tension? And that's the beauty of life, of practicing, of sadhana, of discussing things, of being coached through things. So just as a little wrap up here, I also have a 32-hour teacher training. It is a self-love, self-teacher, intuitive, become your own guru training. So it is not your standard, yoga alliance. We're just going to learn the postures, and we're going to learn the sequencing, and we're going to put them together. It's my version. It's my intuitive version. It's only 32 hours, so it's not, oh my gosh. Le père! Le package! How you doing? Oh, it's so nice to see you. Yeah, so this training is for people who are just really connected and maybe beginning their spiritual awakening and want to know, what can I do? What types of practices can I do to support myself? And so we look at your own Ayurvedic doshas and what is prescribed by Ayurveda for you to do to help yourself balance your energy. We look at your birth chart and all of your planets and your personal planets and your North Node and your Chiron point and all of the houses in your birth chart and what the planets actually mean because of where they are in your planet, in your houses. And then you get a list, you get like these charts that are all about you. It's really fascinating and it's wonderfully exciting also. And then we take those two elements and we combine them to help you more fully realize, okay, what can I be doing to benefit myself in different times? So our moon, whether or not you know it, cycles through all of the astrological signs about 2 or 3 days every month. So there are certain days when you just can't explain, like, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Well, more than likely, it has a little bit to do with where the moon is in your birth chart, where it was on the day that you were born, and also where it is now. Also the sun, also Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron. All of these things have a really big impact on universal energy because you're feeling that, you're taking it in. Over the course of our modern lifetimes, we have kind of pushed those energies away because we had to fit into what the world needed of us, right? We need to make money, we need to get a job, we need to get a house, we need to buy insurance, we need to feed our families, You know, there's like these steps when really, I believe, these steps of life should start with, who am I? What am I feeling? Where's my place in this world? What is my energy all about? You know, who are the people that are closest to me? Why? Who do I love? Why? Do I love me? How do I love me? What does that even mean? You know, all of these things. So we try to look at, what's up, Soph? By the way, if anybody wants to ask a question or anything, please feel free while I'm jammering on over here. Or if anyone would like to hop on and work through any blockages that you're currently experiencing, please just let me know. Aw, Sophie, thank you for the hearts. I love you too. Yeah, so I was talking about my 32-hour self-love, self-teacher training that's coming up on September 9th. It's on Saturdays for 2 hours. We have a group coaching / yoga / intuitive / teaching self-love session. And then you're paired up with someone in the group and you have to, not have to, but you're invited to work with them, work with your partner for an hour each week before we meet again. And then you also will get access to both of my online groups on Facebook, Restore and Love Yourself with Beth, and Activate and Empower Yourself with Beth. So within those groups, I was just talking earlier about how arbitrary it is that there are so many programs on demand within these groups that I have and within so many other programs in the world, but without a reason to access them or a time to access them or a day that you consistently go to them, it becomes really hard to create these habits. And so it doesn't really matter that all these classes are there and available. You know, there's over 50 classes of restorative, there's over 35 yoga nidra classes, but people are in the group and they don't have time to use them, so what's the point, right? So this is if you sign up for this program, we will have times when we all meet. You can also have an accountability buddy where you say, okay, we're going to go into the group on this day, and your partnership, your work together can be anything. This is self-directed, self-defined, just like the whole program. I'm just there to guide you through, what are you feeling? What are you needing? What's blocking you? So this really is a chance to dive into yourself, your inner knowing, and have someone there to support you and reflect back at you what you're saying. Okay, you said you want this. You know, we set up goals for the entire intention of the program. You said you want this. Okay, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? What do you need to give yourself? What do you need to clear? What blocks do you need to remove in order to get that? Because the truth is, you already know. Right? We just don't take the time to sit and ask ourselves these questions, so that's what I'm providing. A space for me to ask you, what do you want? Okay, you don't know? So by the end of the program, do you want to know what you want? That's doable, right? Do you want to start a business? Do you want to be a yoga teacher? Do you want to have an intuitive practice? Do you want to have a personal daily practice? I mean, that's what I secretly want for everyone to want, but that's just me. So that's what we do as co-creators of this life, really. We work with each other. So I ask you, what do you want? And then you tell me, and then I reflect back to you. Okay, how do you get that? What's in the way? What do you think? Why does that matter to you? Why is it even important to you? Why do you want that? What's the big deal, you know? And what you find more often than not is people are like, well, I want this because it's everything. It means everything to me. But the reality is you're not doing it. You're not committing any time to it. When it means everything to you, It makes no sense, right? It's arbitrary. It's like eating a whole bag of chocolates when really you just want to hang out and go on a date with this person, like Goodwill Hunting, right? It's like, let's go for a coffee. Well, I don't even drink coffee. So that's kind of an arbitrary question to ask somebody, right? Not everybody drinks coffee. It's like, why are we not doing the things that will get us one step closer, 2% closer to the thing that we actually want, even if we don't know what that is? What activities can we do that will get us 2% closer to knowing the thing that we want? So give me a holler if you're still watching, just like raise your hand or put up a smiley face or like the thumbs up or whatever. If you know what you want, you know exactly what you want. What do you want in life? I'm just going to wait here. I see there's one person still watching, unless that's not true anymore. Do you know what you want? Do you know what you want in life? Or if you do know what you want, what is it? What do you want? What's the one thing that you want? So this is a really good exercise for either if you're watching now or you're going to watch the replay. If you don't know what you want, right? I invite you to close your eyes for a moment if you want, if you feel comfortable. And place one hand on your heart and one hand on your low belly. So this is to connect your heart center, your Anahata chakra, with your sacrum, your sacral chakra, Swadhisthana. Right below your belly button and above your pubic bone, this is the area of your body that metaphysically represents your likes and dislikes, your passion and your hatred, right? And your heart space is where you have compassion for yourself, love for yourself, trust, consideration, appreciation, gratitude. So all of these sensations and emotions and feelings, we're physically creating an anchor point between the two. And we're just going to feel our breath. We're going to breathe with Beth. Inhale and let the belly fill up into the below palm. Ain't nobody watching you. Let yourself get big, girl, boy. Okay, let it get big. Exhale and then pull it back. Like this time you're trying to impress somebody you like, right? Pull that belly back, suck it in. Inhale again, fill it up. Let your belly get huge and then let your ribs stick out, like as far as they'll go. It's okay if your spine arches. Exhale, draw that belly back. Again, swimsuit competition. Pull the ribs down. Yes, washboard stomach. And then again, inhale, let it all go. Let it get really big, let the ribs get big, let the chest rise a little bit. So maybe this upper hand or the heart space lifts a little. And then exhale again, pull it back. Hot bod competition. Suck it all in. Let the chest fall and sink. Let the head get really light. And then one last time, inhale, fill up. Big belly, big ribs, big chest, big heart. Exhale through the mouth this time. Exhale, belly back, ribs back and down. Chest sinks, shoulders fall away from the ears. And then just let your hands rest. They can be face up or face down, doesn't matter, whatever feels most easeful for you. Feel your breath and ask yourself, your highest self, what do I want? What do I want? What does my heart long for? What am I most passionate about, right? What's the energy from that sacral chakra? What am I most passionate about? What am I most driven towards? What do I like the most? What do I want? What do I love? What do I love? What do I have the most compassion for about myself? And whatever's coming up for you, it can be anything at all. It could even be nothing coming up. That's totally fine too. Even if nothing is coming up, then ask yourself, how much of my day, what percentage of time am I spending my currency of life on, my currency of breath, of energy on, that is getting me towards that? What percentage of my time am I spending on the thing that I really, really want? no matter what the answer is, allow it to be okay. This is not something that we're using to hold against ourselves or abuse ourselves around. It is simply awareness, right? It is all Maya. It is not exceptionally awesome, and it is not terribly awful. It's just what is, right? It's a fact. What am I spending my time doing? And is it getting me closer towards the thing that I want to be spending my time doing? Or am I just in like a hamster wheel doing the same thing I've always done? But if the thing that I want is the hamster wheel, then I have already arrived. I already made it. Like, yes, I'm living my dream. Great. And that's that's an imperfect example because a hamster wheel has a negative connotation. But say you're just lying on the same beach every day, watching the same waves roll in and out. Who's to say that's not one person's hamster wheel and another person's paradise? What if you were stuck there? Is that what you want? So what are you spending most of your time doing? And then if you're not spending the majority of your time doing little incremental things towards the thing that you really, really want, what thing would be a 2% increase towards that thing? 2%. What could you do? And just let your mind wander. Right? Let your mind wander in a positive direction towards things that I could do to support myself in getting towards what I really want. So then, that thought process becomes arbitrary, right? It's not arbitrary. Because now I'm asking myself what I want, and if I know what I want, then I'm also asking myself, what can I do to get myself closer to that thing? It's actually very specific, right? It's narrowing in on who I am, what I want, what I need. So these are the building blocks of self-love. These are the building blocks of self-realization or spiritual awakening. These are synonymous. These are the same terms, right? I feel like the spiritual world can be very daunting of a topic for most people, and regardless of what you feel is your truth, your higher power. If someone says something that's a higher power that doesn't resonate to you, like in my past, if someone said to me God, I would have been like, ugh, I don't feel that. But now I've redefined God for myself, and it feels really good. So if somebody says like, did you have your spiritual awakening or Kundalini awakening, and you feel like, what the heck is that? This stuff is like all kind of crazy and feels a little too like mystical and magical, that's okay. And you can also redefine those terms for yourself, right? These practices of coming into yourself and realizing more about yourself, it's just personal development. But the goal is love. The goal's always been love, baby. That's all we moving towards. Loving ourselves, loving each other, loving the world. So yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching, and please look out on my YouTube space for my new TV show, Our Embodied Divinity. It's about all like the collective energy of bringing this divine, this spiritual realm that can be so complex and confusing to most people into our physical body, into our humanness. What's human about being spiritual? A lot of people think these are two different juxtaposed concepts, but really you are both of them at once, right? And we spend a lot of time in our lives focusing on how human we are, right? I get a cut on my foot. Oh, I need to put a Band-Aid on it. That's just something that happened. I just bumped into it. But these things are interconnected, right? And the more we tune into what messages we're getting from our bodies, what messages we're getting in our minds, what we're feeling in our hearts and our emotions, the more we can acknowledge what we need to help ourselves. So I hope I have helped you just a little bit, maybe just 2%, to think about what it is that you want, what it is that you need to get you to the thing that you want, and maybe what needs to be cleared, or what blockages need to be moved or shifted to get you there as well. If you're interested more in my program, Your Embodied Divinity, please send me a message. I will put the link. The link is already in my link tree, and the link in my bio. You can click on it and go to the page on my Calendly where it describes the program, and also you can book it right there if you want to. It starts on September 11th. It's on a Saturday. We're going to start it at 12:30 in the afternoon, Cambodia time. For that Saturday and the second one, it will be at 12:30, and for the remaining 10 sessions, it will start at 2 p.m. Cambodia time. So check with your time zone and see if that timing works for you, and then if you are still interested, either book it there, or there's also a call, a free 30-minute call in my bio link that you can just schedule a call with me for free and just talk about, like, what is this about? What will this help me do? What can I expect? And how will this help me individually on my own personal journey? Because that's what it's all about. I would like to help you on your personal journey to total holistic health, bliss, love, all that good stuff. And I want to do it in a non-arbitrary way. So I would like to cater the program to the people who are joining it. So you have a say in this, right? It's a co-created experience. It's not just, here's the material, take it, you have to do this, done. It's a very intuitive process. There's even a day or two built in that you are required to not show up. Woo! To be irresponsible, and just see what that brings to your experience. So if any of that sounds interesting, cool, if you want to know more, please feel free again to book a call with me. You can also book into my Restore and Love Yourself private Facebook group. The link to that annual subscription of $333 a year. It's a crazy steal. But maybe that's arbitrary for you, right? Maybe you don't need 55 classes on demand because you can't even eke an hour out of your day to do anything. So, but within the group, what's really nice about it, I think, that's why I set it up, is that there's all different lengths of classes. So there's like 45-minute classes, 25-minute classes, 35-minute classes, there's restorative classes, there's yoga nidra classes. Those are all an hour, like hands down, those are all an hour. But you can play them when you lie down in bed, you can play them and then you fall asleep and boom, you're done. And then there's also a lot of activities, like journaling activities. There's a 7-day self-love journal challenge. There's making an ideal scene. It walks you through all of these really fun thought experiments that you can use to work with the blockages that you might have and to set stronger intentions for what you want for your future. So I hope this was helpful for you today, and yeah. I hope you love yourself 2% more every day. Because if you love yourself 2% more every single day, how long would it take you to love yourself fully? 2% of what? That's a big question. 2% of 100? How many 2% are there? 50, right? So it'd take you 50 days. In 50 days, you can love yourself fully and completely. Amazing. Let's do this. Yeah. I love you so much, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for showing up, because me being seen helps me feel loved as well. I hope I hear you, see you, and please know that I love you. I will see you soon. Take care.